Welcome to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. This is your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. Guys, the House yesterday passed what is it called? The Anti-Semitism Awareness Act. Guys, this is completely dangerous, and I want to talk to you about it. Anti-Semitism is evil, but this bill is absolutely dangerous. I believe that the Republican Party, Republican congressmen are falling right into the trap of the left, and that is to increase government largesse. One of the things that the left is so good at is using emotions or getting people angry, getting people all emotional. And then what happens is we're willing to give away our freedoms. We get so scared, we get so angry, we get so emotional. We say this should be taken care of. And then you have government officials that say, oh, yeah, we'll handle that for you. That's exactly what's happening here. And the Republican Party is falling into the trap of bailing the left out. What we're witnessing on these college campuses with this anti-Jewish and anti-Western hate, as I talked about with Josh Hammer the other day, this is the Democratic base. And let me say something about this. You are going to hear, or you have heard, plenty of people on both sides of the aisle say that, oh, you know, there are some outside agitators, or many of these people are outside agitators. They'll give you a percentage perhaps of or a count of how many of these people that were arrested were actually outside agitators, as in they didn't attend these colleges in which they were causing this chaos and rioting all over the place and intimidating Jews on college campuses. These are outside agitators. It doesn't matter. They're all Democrats. That's what's important. They're all Democrats. They all think the same. They all vote the same way. So don't give me this nonsense that they're outside agitators. All they're doing is linking up with their naive lemming buddies on these college campuses and doing what everyone. What we're seeing is the manifestation of Democratic policy on these college. That's it. What we're witnessing, this anti-Jewish, anti-Western hatred, is a manifestation of Democratic policy. Nothing more, nothing less. This is really simple. And you leave it up to Republicans. And if you leave it up to Republicans, they will always find a way to screw things up. So instead of just highlighting the manifestation of the left's policies on college campuses and how they lead to anti-Jewish and anti-Western hate, instead of Republicans highlighting that, no, they try to come in and save the day and they want this Anti-Semitism Awareness Act. Well, Carl, what are you, an anti-Semite? Of course not, you moron. Listen, I obviously I'm not anti-Semitic, but I understand the First Amendment. As well as, if you're listening to this podcast, I assume that you do as well. And what the left wants to do is fundamentally undermine our Constitution and our way of life in the United States of America. And we cannot let them do that. All right. Today's show, by the way, is brought to you by Wealth Protection, Wealth Protection Research. At the heart of our democracy lies a principle that we all hold sacred, and that is free speech. It's the cornerstone that supports every freedom that we cherish. Yet in today's digital age, discussions about our wealth, our rights, and our future are being silenced or overshadowed in mainstream narratives, leaving many feeling voiceless in conversations that are crucial to our financial independence and our security. This is where Wealth Protection Research steps in. They're armed with a mission that's never been more critical. Wealth Protection Research is not a financial advisory firm. They are defenders of free speech. They are committed to giving a voice to the silence. Wealth Protection Research tirelessly seeks out financial experts. These are the voices that challenge prevailing narratives, especially as we navigate the uncertainties of the 2024 election. Wealth Protection Research has created a 2024 Election Wealth Protection Report. This free report highlights the 3 best ideas for protecting and growing your money heading into the 2024 election. It contains ideas the mainstream media won't touch, and listeners can get it completely free. All you have to do is text the word ideas to 76626 to claim your free copy. If you believe in the sanctity of free speech and the importance of financial freedom, act now. Text IDEAS, IDEAS, to 76626. Claim your free copy of this 2024 election protection report. It's time to widen the scope of what we're told, to hear the ideas the establishment does not think you can handle, and to take control of our financial destinies. Again, text ideas, IDEAS, to 76626 to claim your free copy. All right. Now, welcome back to the Carl Jackson Show, guys. Remember to subscribe to the podcast wherever you go to get your podcast: Apple, Google, Spotify, YouTube, and Rumble. You can also find me on all things social media at The Carl Jackson Show. That is at The Carl Jackson Show. X, Instagram, Facebook, True Social, Getter, wherever I am on social media. The Carl Jackson Show is where you can go to find me. Okay, so I'm going to play a video for you right off the onset, and I believe that Trump gets it right. And I want you to understand this is the long game. If the left wants to fundamentally undermine America, what we're looking at is eventually we're going to look like Europe, and Trump gets that exactly right. Here's former President Donald Trump on his one day that he was released, if you will, from these sham court hearings. The one day that he was released, he staged a rally in both Wisconsin and Michigan. If the polling is correct, he is pulling away in Michigan, and this is exactly why the left is hesitant to say anything really harsh or strong when it comes to these riots. Biden came out yesterday and basically said the same old, this is bad. You know what I'm saying? We don't want anti-Semitism. We also don't want people or Islamophobia, conflating the two issues. Let me ask you a question just real quick before we play this video. Where the heckaroni have you seen Islamophobia around this country? If anything, it's the complete opposite. I feel like people are scared to speak the truth in the United States about Islam, despite the fact that they have a record, right? There's evidence that these fools will straight up kill you. We've seen what ISIS has done. We've seen them launch use airplanes to kill Americans on 9/11. There's evidence that there's concern for Islamists, and yet we don't want to talk about it. Are we insane? They just caught an ISIS, and we know there's plenty of more, but there was an ISIS member that came through Biden's open borders a couple of years ago. They just caught that fool, and now they have him in custody. An ISIS member came straight from the Middle East. Guys, we are playing with such fire. See, the left believe they have the upper hand. But these little spoiled brats on the college campuses, they don't realize that if Islam was to take over, if Sharia law was to take over, they would slit their throats quick, fast, and in a hurry. They do not care. Here's President Trump. He gets it at his Wisconsin rally. Go ahead and roll the tape. Por favor, Mr. Casiano.
We've seen what happened when Europe opened their doors to jihad. Look at Paris. Look at London. They're no longer recognizable. And I'm going to get myself into a lot of trouble with the folks in Paris and the folks in London. But you know what? That's the fact. They are no longer recognizable. And we can't let that happen to our country. We have incredible culture, tradition. Nothing wrong with their culture, their tradition. We can't let that happen here. And I'll never let it happen to the United States of America.
All right, so that's President Trump, former President Trump, hopefully future President Trump, at a Wisconsin rally. And again, he was temporarily released from the court hearings. And these court hearings are not working for the Democrat Party. Listen, I do believe that they're going to get a conviction in these sham hearings, but I don't believe that they're going to help this Judge Juan Merchan. I think Trump at this point is trying to get arrested. He doesn't care, or he's just he's just speaking the truth. You have Cohen out there, talking about Trump, but Trump can't talk about him. The gag order is only put on Trump. It's a complete and utter sham. You have this Judge Juan Merchan that is trying to try Trump on this federal election, or allowing this federal election charge from a district court to be tried against a former president. Nothing like this has happened before. We all know this is a sham. So if anything major happens, obviously we'll let you know, but something major would be an arrest. And I don't know if Trump is intentionally trying to get arrested as much as he's giving them the middle finger. And frankly, I think he should. They're in the wrong. if you're going to provide a gag order, if you're going to make somebody shut up, everybody has to be a part of that. You know what? When I went to court, there was I guess it was a gag order, but I can't even remember. It's been so long ago. But there was a time where I was involved in a criminal case, and it was actually a case against me, so it wasn't me in this case. and so everybody had to shut up about it. That's the way that it works. But the rules apply to everyone. So it's a complete and utter farce. All right, here's the manifestation of what America, your college campuses and your neighborhoods. This is why New York, right? New York and Los Angeles look the way that they do. Look at these these Democratic Hamas protests. That's what we need. These are all Democrats. That's what you need to keep in mind. Oh, these outside agitators. No, they're all Democrats. They may live on the outside of the college campus, but they all share the same ideas. They all share the same beliefs. They all share the same values. Some of them are ignorant. There's no doubt about it. Some of them just want to be a part of the crowd and feel special. Some of them don't go to church. You know what I'm saying? They don't have a God, so they're looking for purpose and meaning in their lives. And if hating Jews brings them purpose and meaning, then so be it. Then so be it. But let's go ahead and roll this video. I want you to take a look at this UCLA campus. This is what the Democratic Hamas protesters, the Democrat voters, did to the campus of UCLA. And then I'm going to react to this, but I just want you to gaze at this. If you are not watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the podcast. We're on YouTube. We're on Rumble if you want to watch it on Rumble. Now, Rumble is the free speech platform. And I'm actually going to ask you, I'm going to do another podcast a little later. We'll have it out for you tomorrow. But I want to talk to you about this second Boeing whistleblower that has passed on. Also, what is the guy's name before we show you this video? Peter Daszak of EcoHealth Alliance, president. Basically, the Federalist wrote about 5 takeaways of this of this lab leak, where we've suspected it all along. Been more and more news comes out to confirm or affirm what we've all believed, and that is that the virus started from gain of function research in the Wuhan lab. Anyway, we'll be talking about that tomorrow. I'm going to ask you to please, excuse me. I don't know why I can't clear my throat. I'm going to ask you to subscribe to the Rumble channel because we all know they're not going to share this on YouTube. All right. So we're going to do that podcast for you tomorrow. I'm going to talk about the second Boeing whistleblower that has bitten the dust in just a span of 2 months. And I got to tell you, just real quick before I move on to this, everybody's talking about DEI when it comes to Boeing, and that is really scary. But let me tell you something that's even more scary that I think we'll delve into tomorrow. The fact that we're losing a lot of tradesmen across the United States of America. I'm not convinced that everything is DEI. What if we're just losing so many tradesmen that we're not going to be able to build the same type of quality machinery that we're used to? Yeah, I can tell you, just going, using the mechanic that I use, and I know, a couple of others, old school guys that know what they're doing from old technology to new technology, but we're losing those cats. What's going to happen with their gone? I guarantee you it isn't just DEI, even though DEI is playing a major part of it. But I think we're losing a lot of tradesmen, and that's something to be completely afraid of. And it's also a reason why I think it is time to defund these college campuses and start training, at least on the federal level, and start training some of these kids in the trades. That's a topic for another day, but I do want to show you this video. Let's go ahead and roll it, por favor, Gabe.
Police have gone through here and forced the pro-Palestinian demonstrators out. CHP tells me 100 people were taken into custody during this operation. It took about 3 hours. What a mess.
Okay, so let me react to this video. This is a result. That's the UCLA campus. That's a result of anti-Jewish hate. That's a result of disrespect for the janitors. That's a result of disrespect for taxpayer funding. That's disrespect for people's times. Just think about this. what you saw on that college campus, you got a bunch of privileged, spoiled brats that have destroyed that campus because they know somebody is going to come after them and clean it up. They don't have the respect or the decency for people, frankly, that will probably work for them in the future, because these are tomorrow's leaders. That's what scares the crud out of me. These are tomorrow's leaders in America. They have no respect for people's time. Somebody has to clean up their butts, wipe their butts, metaphorically speaking, and they don't give a flip. Somebody else is going to have to take the time to clean up after their mess. Some janitor, some low-paid staffer that's never going to make, a quarter of the money that these kids will probably make in their entire life. 10% of the money that they'll make is going to clean up after they're behind. So they have no respect for property. They have no respect for others, for people that have to serve them, if you will. You're talking about spoiled brats. These are a bunch of people that have to invent grievances in order to feel meaningful in their lives and purposeful. That's exactly what's happening. No respect for your time. You don't have a right, beyond the damage that they did, beyond the spoiled brats that they are, but beyond the Jew haters that they are, the American haters that they are. They have a disrespect for those that are viewed as lesser in society than they do, because they've just stolen that person's time. All these people that got to clean up behind these fools, they've just stolen their time. They've just wasted valuable time or taken valuable time away from their lives. That's who you're dealing with. Bunch of freaking spoiled brats. I can't stand these fools. I can't lie, man. I just want to say to all of you parents, if one of your kids are involved in these pro-Hamas protests, you have failed. You have failed. You suck as a parent. You gave your kid absolutely everything they wanted. You spared the rod and you spoiled the child. And now you got a spoiled brat. And let me tell you something. Society is shaping up in such a way, mom and dad, with your spoiled behind kids. When you're sitting in a nursing home and you're having to get your butt wiped, those kids aren't going to visit you. And the doctors and the nurses that are going to be associated with that care, they're just going to let you die because your life isn't going to matter. These are the kids that you raise, you freaking disgusting parents. I'm sorry. Tired of this crap. I'm so tired of this crap. On that note, look at this. We haven't even played the video. This video has gone viral. You've heard it. It's been out for several days, but I want you to hear it. This is a protester, or I'm sorry. Forgive me. This is a Hamas rioter, a Democrat voter, in other words, on Columbia University campus. They're revolutionaries demanding that people wipe their butts, metaphorically speaking. They want them to bring them food, water, so on, etc. And I haven't even started the video. Gabe, are you looking at the video? Are you looking at the frame of this video? I didn't even notice this before. Look at the dude behind her. Look at that. Look at that. That fool is confused. Look at him. A revolutionary. Looking all sissified. Showing off his belly button. I forgot what you call it. Look at that. These are supposed to be our leaders. No, thank you. All right, let's go ahead and play this dork. I shouldn't say that. I'm trying to stop with these ad hominem attacks.
Why should the university be obligated to provide food to people who've taken over a building?
First of all, we're saying that they're obligated to provide food to students who pay for a meal plan here.
But you mentioned that there was a request that food and water be brought in, unless I misunderstood.
To allow it to be brought in. I mean, well, I guess it's ultimately a question of what kind of community and obligation Columbia feels it has to its students. Do you want students to die of dehydration and starvation or get severely ill, even if they disagree with you? If the answer is no, then you should allow basic, I mean, it's crazy to say because we're on an Ivy League campus, but this is like basic humanitarian aid we're asking for. Like, could people please have a glass of water?
But they did put themselves in that very deliberately, in that situation and in that position. So it seems like you're sort of saying, we want to be revolutionaries, we want to take over this building. Now would you please bring us food and water?
Nobody's asking them to bring anything. We're asking them to not violently stop us from bringing in basic humanitarian aid.
They're stopping the delivery of food?
we are looking for a commitment from them that they will not stop it
but
violently.
they haven't stopped it yet.
I don't know to what extent it has been attempted, but we're looking for a commitment.
And the grub-
I mean, I've heard this video over and over. I've not watched it. I've heard it over and over. But now just sitting here watching it, I'm totally disgusted. Those parents are absolute failures. These people are completely book smart, but lack any common sense. The chick couldn't even connect the dots. You're a revolutionary. You're destroying property. You're not a student at this point. You're a criminal. All right. You're destroying property. You're intimidating Jewish students. And in the midst of your crime, you're asking for someone to be an accomplice in your criminal activity. That's what's happening. This chick is asking. Think about this, Gabe. That chick is asking for someone to be an accomplice in her criminal activity. She's the revolutionary. She's destroying property. She's intimidating Jewish people. That isn't free speech. And she's saying, you know what? I need help in being able to further commit this crime, taking over property that I'm not supposed to be taking over, so on, etc. So I want you guys to be accomplices in this crime. I want you guys to feed me to make sure that I have the stamina to continue in my criminal behavior. That's what she just said. We got to defund these institutions. I'm just as frustrated as you. I'm sick and tired of saying this stuff. Guys, the only way that we're going to get things accomplished on that level is to make sure not only that we win in 2024, we got to have so many people that are in 2026. We got to kick the rhinos out. I'm getting ready to share another story with you. But I want to share this video of KGP the other day. You guys may have heard, but her reaction to Biden addressing, I believe that's her reaction to Biden addressing that, or maybe he didn't address it as of yet. I forget. Anyway, let's roll the video and I'll respond to it.
You mentioned what he said in 2017 after Charlottesville. He said about Trump's response then, Charlottesville for me was a moment where I thought silence would be complicity.
Yeah.
So how do you explain his silence this week?
The president has not been silent on this issue when it comes to hate speech, anti-Semitism. He launched the first ever anti-Semitism strategy to counter anti-Semitism, something that no other president did. No other president did.
A school building at an Ivy League campus got taken over.
And we call that out, and we said that is not peacefully protesting. Taking over a building at a university or college is not peacefully protesting. And we've been very clear. Taking more than 100 new actions to deal with anti-Semitism in this administration, no one has ever done that before. Not any other administration has ever done that before. We're going to continue. We're going to continue to do the work, and it's not just here in the White House. We're talking about DOJ. We're talking about Homeland Security, right? We're talking about Department of Education, talking and working with campuses and colleges to deal with this issue. We have seen a uptick in anti-Semitism in the last certainly several months in the past year. And we have to call that out, and it is not okay. It is not okay. Go ahead, Phil.
All right, so at that point, Biden had not given his weak speech. And for some reason, I wanted to give you just the synopsis from that speech, but for whatever reason, I cannot get into my email this morning. But anyway, Biden basically called it out, but he conflated it, so he really didn't call it out. Excuse me. Conflated it with Islamophobia, as if that's a real issue. I mean, nobody sees a bunch of Islamists that are being cornered on college campuses, threatened, and all this kind of stuff. And I mean, this is absolute, complete, and utter nonsense. And when you think about it, Joe Biden's idea of fighting against anti-Semitism is what? Funding the Ayatollahs of Iran that want to kill Jews. That he has no credibility. Honestly, the world is looking at KGP. The world is looking at Joe Biden. They realize that the man has no credibility, so they're just going to continue to move forward. All of these dictators are going to continue to move forward. Colombia has just basically denounced Israel and said they will no longer have diplomatic relations with Israel. The dictator there. This is what's happening, right? Under Joe Biden's watch. So Joe Biden's idea of fighting anti-Semitism is funding the Ayatollahs of Iran. That says it all. That says it all. All right. I want to get to this topic. This was from NBC News. This occurred yesterday. So basically, the House passed an anti-Semitism bill with broad bipartisan support, according to NBC News, amid all of the pro-Hamas Democratic arrest, the arrest of Democrats on college campuses. So now the House passes this anti-Semitism bill. So let me give you the summary from NBC News, and I'm going to tell you why this is very dangerous. I'm in total, just for the record, I'm in total disagreement with this bill. Total disagreement with this bill. I started off the show by explaining why, but this bill is completely dangerous, and I feel like the right falls for this stuff every single time. And at least if you're not going to advance conservatism, Speaker Mike Johnson, don't destroy the Constitution either. Don't do damage, all right, before we can remove you as Speaker. And word is that there is going to be a motion to vacate the speakership next week. And I got to tell you, I'm not mad at it. I don't think the timing is the best timing. I want to focus on the Democratic riots on these college campuses by their pro-Hamas base. But, I'd rather the news be there. Democrats want to get this out of the news as quickly as possible. I want to keep it in the news as long as possible because it is turning people. People are realizing what they're seeing on these college campuses are a direct result of Democrat policies and what the left has been teaching on these college campuses that people are paying way too much money for, by the way. So here's the summary from NBC News. The House passed a bipartisan bill Wednesday to combat anti-Semitism as pro-Palestinian protests roil colleges across the U.S. All right, so every time I hear the term bipartisanship, I'm skeptical. All right, I'm always skeptical. I always feel like they're working against us. They're teaming up to work against us. I like opposition parties. I realize that oftentimes we probably agree on a lot of issues, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. But when you're dealing with a party in Washington, D.C. that has been co-opted by the left, I don't feel like there's a lot of room for compromise. And you have to sit back and ask yourself, why do they agree with us? So the measure passed yesterday. Again, this is the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act. The vote passed 320 to 91. 21 Republicans and 70 Democrats voted in favor of it. And again, it's titled the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act. It would mandate that the Education Department adopt a broad definition of anti-Semitism that is used by the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. That's an intergovernmental group to enforce anti-discrimination laws. All right. Actually, let me just read this part. The international group defines anti-Semitism as a, quote, certain perception of Jews which may be expressed as hatred toward Jews. The group adds that, quote, rhetorical and physical manifestations, close quote, of anti-Semitism include such things as calling for the killing or harming of Jews or holding Jews collectively responsible for actions taken by Israel. I want to come back to that because what you just heard is scary as all get out. I'm not sure if you understood what you heard or where I'm going with this, but hopefully I can make it clear. But before I go any further, guys, I just want to tell you that this podcast is not possible without the help of sponsorship. That's just the way things are. All right, that's the way that we can get out our message in this business. Right now, I do want to tell you about mypillow.com. Right, they're having a $25 free for all. All right, they're calling it a $25 extravaganza. You know that My Pillow has been canceled by these box stores, even some of these shopping channels. So what Mike Lindell, My Pillow, wants to do is he's going to pass all of those savings directly, or give those savings directly to you, or hand them directly to you, basically. All right, so he started My Pillow. Mike did with just one product. That's the My Pillow. And now he has hundreds of products and he has hundreds of dedicated employees. All you have to do is go to mypillow.com and peruse the site. But right now, they've got the My Pillow, the pack of multi-use My Pillows that are just $25. The My Pillow sandals are $25. Their 6-pack towel sets are $25. The brand new 4-pack of dish towels, $25. All right, for the first time ever, the premium My Pillows with all of the new Giza fabric, those are $25. And for orders that are over $75, you'll receive free shipping as well. All right, so this offer isn't going to last long. Go to mypillow.com. Click on the radio podcast square at the top of the page. Enter my name, Carl, C-A-R-L. I don't spell it like the communists. C-A-R-L is how you spell it, or use the promo code. Carl, I'm sorry, or give them a call at 800-858-0263. Again, that number is 800-858-0263, mypillow.com. Okay, so let me just read over this summary again, or parts of it anyway. My butt is hurting. I'm going to have to sit up in this stool. No, I know. I'm slacking. I promise. This week has been so crazy, but I got to get on my pillow and find something for my booty. All right. So again, this Anti-Semitism Awareness Act, this isn't protection of the Jews as much as it is an assault on the First Amendment. And I want you to understand that this is what the left does. This is how they take control. This is how they eat away at your power, one bite at a time. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And that's exactly what this bill does. It's chipping away, it's eating away at the First Amendment. Again, this bill would mandate that the Education Department, the Department of Education, adopt the broad definition of anti-Semitism used by International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, an intergovernmental group to enforce anti-discrimination laws. Okay, so the first thing that you may have caught, maybe you didn't, is that this empowers the Department of Education to adopt the broad definition of anti-Semitism. So notice what's happening here. Congress is moving your power, or moving power away from you, right? Because your power is vested in the Congress and to the Department of Education. That's one thing that's happening I haven't heard anybody mention. So again, a federal bureaucracy is empowered while you're weakened. Also, the international group defines this group that they're going to be taking the definition from, the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. That group defines anti-Semitism as a, quote, certain perception of Jews which may be expressed as hatred toward Jews, close quote. Now, I don't want Jews to feel hated. I don't want Jews to experience anti-Semitism. I don't want to hear the N-word. I don't want to experience racism. But you can't change people's hearts. That is something that only God can do. And it isn't against the law, as despicable as it might be. As evil as it might be to be an anti-Semite, to be prejudiced or racist, or in any way, to be a bigot in any way, it is not against our laws. This is so dangerous. The group adds that, quote, rhetorical and physical manifestations, close quote, of anti-Semitism include such things as calling for the killing or harming of Jews, or holding Jews collectively responsible for actions taken by Israel. This definition is so broad, it is insane. They can make anything out of it. And this is just a gateway, right? If they can curtail or censor this speech, even though it's despicable, what else will they censor? What else will the Department of Education, that is head up by communists right now, what else would they censor? Why would Speaker Mike Johnson and Republicans even try to give this type of power? You have an opportunity to stop this nonsense in the Senate. It hasn't gone anywhere in the Senate yet. It's passed in the House, unfortunately. Call your senators, 202, listen to me, 202-224-3121. 202-224-3121. Tell them you do not want this Anti-Semitism Awareness Act to pass, because this is an assault on free speech. It's really as simple as that. So right now, things are up in the air in the Senate, according to NBC News. Senator Chuck Schumer was asked, he's the majority leader, was asked whether or not he would take up the legislation. And he said, and I quote, "We haven't seen what the House is sending us yet," close quote. Now, here's what's really going on with Senator Chuck Schumer, as Rush Limbaugh used to call him. what's really happening with Chuck U. Schumer is he's got to stick his finger up in the air and he's got to see which way the wind blows. If his base, he's Jewish, but if his base, if his base are on college campuses, right? Or at least a good portion of their base, they're scared. The Democrats are that they're losing the youngsters. Their poll numbers keep getting worse and worse and worse when it comes to these youngsters that absolutely hate America and absolutely hate Jews. So Chuck Schumer, as a Jew, has to kiss the behinds of those protesters. I'm sorry, of those Democrat voters, those Hamas, little wannabes that tore up college campuses like UCLA. He has to kiss their booty. So he's got to say, I'm not sure. We got to see. We got to see where the House or what the House is sending us. This is a pathetic man. Representative Mike Lawler, a Republican from New York, useless as far as I'm concerned, introduced the bipartisan legislation that received backing from Democratic moderates who are supporters of Israel amid the country's war with Hamas. And Lawler, here's what he had to say, and I quote, "In every generation, the Jewish people have been scapegoated, harassed, evicted from their homeland, and murdered," close quote. The Jewish people, further, this is Lawler again. He said, "The Jewish people need our support now. They need action now." All right, so sometimes the worst time for action is when all of the emotion is there, right? Because we're looking at these college campuses. Excuse me. The world is looking at these college campuses, and those that are sympathetic to Jews, which I am, and saying, man, this is so horrendous how people are treating them, the things that they're saying about them, so on, etc. But you don't, in the time when you're most emotional, use that period of time to try to carve out legislation. And that's exactly what's happening. And Republicans are falling for it hook, line, and sinker instead of letting everyone see the manifestation or what Democrat votes come to on these college campuses. And instead of just pointing that out, what Lawler should be doing is saying, see, this is the result of Democrat policies played out. Anti-Jewish, anti-American, destroying property, not allowing kids to go in and get their education that they paid for. This is the result of Democrat policy on college campuses. Instead of just shining the spotlight on that idiot comes up with legislation. And then Republicans, they say here, Republicans are seeking to launch investigations into anti-Semitism on college campuses in response to the pro-Palestinian They're not pro-Palestinian. They're anti-Jew. They're pro-Hamas. And why are Republicans launching an investigation? We don't need a freaking investigation. Defund these damn colleges. That's what you need. You don't need an investigation. This is why I'm so tired of the Republican Party. For God's sakes, I almost wish I was a commie. At least they know how to win. This is insane, man. Republicans are so freaking weak. God, help us. The Democrats are destroying themselves. You couldn't ask for a better scenario. I know I know this is hard to watch. I know it's hard to see. You couldn't ask for a better scenario of Democrats turning against Democrats on these college campuses, because they have to. We're witnessing that their base, a good portion of their base, their young base, are anti-Semites and pro-Hamas and anti-American. Republicans, the left, are destroying themselves. Let them do it. Stop trying to come to their rescue every time. And then you have now I expect this from a Democrat. This was the co-author of the legislation, Representative Josh Gottheimer. He said, when I spoke at, and I'm probably butchering that, so forgive me, I don't intend to. It wasn't my intention. When I spoke at Columbia, he said last week, I told administrators that we need deeds, not words, to protect Jewish students. This bill is a critical step to take the action we so desperately need to stand up against hate, close quote. No, the action you need is to call out Joe Biden, your leader, Representative Josh Gottheimer, and tell him to stop emboldening Iran. Tell him to let Israel wipe out all of those terrorists in the Gaza Strip. Hakeem Jeffries, in a letter to House Speaker Mike Johnson, wrote that, quote, "There's nothing scheduled on the floor this week that would accomplish this concrete, thoughtful strategies outlined by the Biden administration to combat anti-Semitism." Really? The Biden administration combating anti-Semitism by funding the mullahs of Iran? The world's leading sponsor of terrorism? Really? Jeffries demanded a vote on the bipartisan Countering Anti-Semitism Act, which aims to address concerns about rising anti-Semitism through the appointment of a new advisor to the president who will be dedicated to implementing. He's an he's said some really anti-Semitic things in the past. But here's what the left always advances. Oh yeah. Well, let's introduce some bipartisan legislation called the Hakeem. This is me pretending to be Hakeem Jeffries, the Countering Anti-Semitism Act. Meanwhile, what we're going to do is grow the size of government, because what I'm going to recommend is a new advisor to the president who would be dedicated to implementing its coordinated strategy to counter anti-Semitism. So I get to grow government largesse, and I get to pretend like I really care about anti-Semitism. Democrats are smooth. They are smooth. And Republicans, we are dumb as all get out. The effort to crush, he said, Jeffries did, anti-Semitism and hatred in any form is not a Democratic or a Republican issue. Sounds like Barack Obama there. It's an American issue that must be addressed in a bipartisan manner with the fierce urgency of now. Of course, something has to be done now. Do something right now. The ACLU lawyers, which I don't respect the ACLU, but I feel like they're right on this issue. They said Lawler's bill faced opposition. Well, actually, this is what the ACLU had to say. They called the bill's definition of anti-Semitism overbroad. And they're right. They said speech that is critical of Israel or any other government cannot alone constitute harassment. Now, I think they're bigots there, but they're right in this, all right? They wrote this in a letter last week, urging lawmakers to oppose the letter. The letter pointed in part to an example of anti-Semitism that is included in the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance's definition, which says anti-Semitism could include, and I quote, denying the Jewish people their right to self-determination, for example, by claiming that the existence of a state of Israel is a racist endeavor, close quote. Now, believing that could lead to something crazy, could lead to violence. Saying it is free speech. It's despicable. Saying it is free speech. You had Representative Pramila Jayapal, that far left-wing nut job. She voted against the bill, and she was right to do so, but for the wrong reasons. After having told reporters Tuesday that Republicans were weaponizing anti-Semitism, she says, quote, we all have to continue to speak out against anti-Semitism and be clear that we will not tolerate anti-Semitism any more than we tolerate Islamophobia or any other of the other hatreds and discriminations that are out there, close quote. So what did she do? She did exactly what Joe Biden did. Oh, well, we're going to condemn anti-Semitism, but there's a lot of hatred out there too, because he doesn't want to make his pro-Hamas base on these college campuses mad, and especially when it comes to the state of Michigan. Jayapal also argued that the bill, quote, has a definition that is so broad, close quote, that many Jewish groups don't support it as well. So why would you do that except if you want to weaponize anti-Semitism and you want to use it as a political ploy, close quote. Jerry Nadler, Representative Jerry Nadler in New York, I believe he's Jewish, if I'm not mistaken, said that the definition was so broad that it would threaten constitutionally protected free speech. So he voted against the bill as well. You had Representative Sarah Jacobs, a Democrat from California. I believe she is Jewish. She said in a statement after she voted that while she has experienced anti-Semitism all my life, quote unquote, the bill will, quote, would stifle First Amendment rights to free speech and free assembly, close quote. Jacobs also said she does not believe that anti-Zionism is inherently anti-Semitism, close quote. She's wrong. Those people that are you're a Zionist, so they hate Jews. All right, let's just be real. She said that conflating free speech and hate crimes will not make Jewish students any safer. Now, she's right on that. Conflating speech from actual violent physical crime are two different things. I hate that they're called hate crimes. I feel like when you commit a crime, it's hate. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's been the left has tried to make a fool out of her, and so have the right, but she's right on time on this. She voted against the bill because of a disagreement with an example of anti-Semitism that was also listed in the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance's definition, which she referred to using, quote, symbols and images, close quote, saying that such as claims of Jews killing Jesus or blood libel, close quote, to describe Israel or Israelis. So Green argued basically that the bill, quote, could convict Christians of anti-Semitism for believing the gospel that says Jesus was handed over for crucifixion with involvement of some Jewish authorities, including Herod. And she's absolutely right. Representative Matt Gaetz basically echoed the same thing. He said the Bible is clear. There's no myth or controversy around this. So you have activists and these people working together. So I'm glad you had 91 people that opposed it. Frankly, Republicans should have opposed this bill. They didn't. This Anti-Semitism Awareness Act won't do anything to stop anti-Semitism. Sadly, this is deeply embedded within the Democrat Party and quite frankly around the world. And for those people that don't believe in the God of the Bible, this is why I know that the Jews are God's chosen people. But Republicans have just done a disservice to the First Amendment. They've done a disservice to you by offering this bill up for the Senate to look at. So you can call your congressman if they voted for this and tell them that you are disappointed in them, but make sure you call your senator to make sure this bill goes anywhere. This is not going to stop anti-Semitism. This is going to censor you because now it's going to allow the Department of Education, take it out of your hands, take it out of your congressman's hands. They're going to determine what hate speech is. And they'll start with anti-Semitism, quote unquote, and then they're going to move to Christian talk. They're already doing it. All right. So they're going to start saying that Christian speech is offensive. That's the aim, guys. They have to shut us up. The left, the communists, the socialists, the Democrat Party, basically, they have to shut us up. They have to remove God out of the picture if they're going to advance their agenda. It's as simple as that. That's what they're doing. This is really simple. Really, really simple. Hey, just real quick, a quick note. If you can see on camera, we've got in our t-shirts. So you can order them now. Skin ain't sin. Standing up to show you this. All right. So I need to work out before I, Skin ain't sin. You can go to carljacksonmerch.itemorder.com and get yourself a t-shirt there. Skin ain't sin. Also love guns, hate tyranny. There's also the Promise t-shirt that has, God's rainbow there with the word promise. All right. So the shirts send a strong message, but they're a little more, in my opinion, subtle, a little more fashionable. They're not all, what's the word? Bling blingish. You know what I'm saying? It's just fashionable. You can wear them, casual clothing, look good, look stylish. And you can make a statement as well. So go ahead and check them out. carljacksonmerch.itemorder.com. Por favor. Guys, I appreciate you tuning in to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show. There's so much that I want to get to in the next podcast. You guys may have heard the assistant. Who is she? I want to make sure that I share this because I'm not getting into it now, but I am going to get into it in my next podcast. But the assistant in the DOJ, basically, she was arrested years ago for apparently trying to stab her husband. Some type of domestic. Kristen Clark allegedly knifed her ex. We'll get into the details of that in a later podcast that'll be out tomorrow, as well as this second Boeing whistleblower that has died suddenly. All right. Also, Peter Dasik's testimony about COVID, about the Wuhan lab. We'll get into that as well. So you have that to look forward to. Guys, I appreciate you tuning in to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Until next time, do not grow weary doing good. God bless you.